Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be doing a tour of one of my garages in Grand Theft Auto Online, and that garage is going to be my old cars, classic cars, sports classic cars. Basically anything that falls into any of those categories is what's in this garage, so it's basically just a bunch of old cars. So anyway, let's hop right into it. We're going to start off at the corner that's closest to me. We're going to work our way around, so let's hop in. Alright guys, so first off we have the Comet Retro Custom. Now I know this thing is not exactly like an old car, it's retro, so you know, it's not that old, but it's old enough to be in this garage, I feel like. So anyway, I just customized this thing pretty recently. You guys probably saw it, at least a few of you probably did, so you'll probably recognize it, I would think. It's obviously got the livery on it, the auto exotic livery. It's salmon pink, I want to say, and it's got the gray wheels on it. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this customization. I haven't changed it since I made it, so you know, obviously I like it a bit, and yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with this thing. So let's move on to the next car. Next up, we have the Volcar Fagaloa. Now, I also customized this car pretty recently, which I kind of didn't realize that there was going to be two of the most recent customizations right next to each other, but the Fagaloa is a really, really cool car. I like this thing a lot. It's super underrated. I don't think many people know that much about it, and honestly, I don't really like that. I feel like everyone should, you know, at least try out this car because it's honestly really, really clean. I like it a lot. Definitely go check out this thing if you haven't already. Let's move on to the next car, which of course is going to be the Z-Type. Now the Z-Type is, you know, obviously pretty classic car in Grand Theft Auto Online. It's a car that I feel like a lot of people know about, but then again, like a lot of newer players probably don't know too much about the Z-Type. At one point, I think this was maybe the second most expensive car in Grand Theft Auto Online. I think the Adder was the most, and then this was not far behind it, so pretty cool. Not the fastest car or anything like that, but it is, you know, a very cool looking car, that's for sure. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. And of course, next up we have the Pegassi Monroe. Now the Monroe is based off of a Lamborghini Miura in real life, which is a very, very cool classic car. I really, really like this thing. I don't drive it very much because it honestly doesn't have the greatest handling, if I remember correctly, but I have customized it and reviewed it if you want to go check that out. It's a great looking car, but unfortunately, I don't think the performance is that great, but it is still just a really nice car to look at. So definitely would recommend checking this thing out, that's for sure. Into here, we have the Roosevelt, which obviously I just customized yesterday or the day before. I can't remember when you guys are going to be seeing this video, but I customized it really recently. Looks really good. I'm really happy with it. I'm planning on keeping it for future videos, so, you know, stay on the lookout for that. Not much to say about the Roosevelt, though. It's, you know, it's a cool car, but it's, you know, nothing too special, I don't think. Anyway, let's move on to the next car, which of course is the Lampa Daddy Casco. I love the Lampa Daddy Casco. This thing is awesome. One of the best sounding vehicles in the game. Not many people know about it. It sounds almost as good as the Sterling GT. It kind of sounds like the JB700 a little bit. They have like sort of the same sound package, I think, that Rockstar put on the car, so pretty cool. Overall, Casco is probably one of the most underrated cars in Grand Theft Auto Online. I absolutely love this thing. It is so sick. I would highly recommend checking this thing out, that's for sure. Anyway, moving on, we have the Stinger GT. Of course, a pretty classic car in Grand Theft Auto Online. Stinger GT is, you know, based off of an old Ferrari. I'm not exactly sure. I want to say the 250 GT or GTO. I'm not 100%, don't quote me on that, but I do believe that it is based on an old Ferrari like the 250. I'm not very good with old Ferraris. I only really know the newer ones. So anyway, the Stinger GT, awesome car. I was just driving this thing over here to this garage actually because I was storing it at my office garage for a little bit, but I decided that it should probably be in this garage for sure. It sounds really good. Maybe not really good. Definitely doesn't sound as good as the Casco, but it does sound really good. It can drift really easily if you want it to, but at the same time, it's also pretty planted, so it's a really cool car. I would highly recommend checking this thing out as well. On to the next one, we have the Cockette Blackfin. Topless, of course. This car does give you the option to actually remove the roof on it, so that's a really cool option. This thing actually sounds amazing too. It's got a really good sound. When you let off the gas when you're driving, it does do these like weird little crackles and pops. Sounds really, really good. So if you're into, you know, good sounding cars, this is probably a pretty good garage to go through. I mean, the Casco, this thing, we got a few more cars lined up that, you know, also sound pretty good. Not much else to say about the Cockette Blackfin. This thing is really underrated. It's a really good car. It's not, you know, gonna win you any races. None of these cars really are gonna win you any races. I mean, the Z-Type I think is maybe the fastest sports classic in the game, if I'm not mistaken, in a straight line. I could be wrong though, but yeah, it's still probably not gonna win you any races because the handling is, you know, not that great. But the Blackfin, really cool car. I would recommend checking that thing out for sure. It's pretty cheap too. So on to the next one. Of course, we have the Ferrari F40 or the Grotti Turismo Classic. I believe this is the fastest sports classic car in the game around a racetrack. It actually handles really, really nicely. It's also based off of a Ferrari F40, so, you know, it's bound to be, you know, a pretty sweet car. Obviously, I've got the Ferrari, like, F40, you know, look-alike spoiler on it. I pretty much tried to make this thing look as close to an F40 as I possibly could. And I achieved my goal, I think. You know, as far as you can go in GTA Online, I think it looks pretty much like an F40, so... yeah, no complaints about this thing. I've won a lot of races with this car, so definitely one to have if you plan on doing some sports classic races. It's a great car for that sort of thing, so yeah. And last but not least, we have the best sounding car in the game, the Sterling GT. Of course, this thing is incredible. It's a great car, it's really fun to drive, really fun to listen to. That's probably the best thing about the car, is just how it sounds. Also, very good looking car. That's the thing that I think is really underrated about this car, is just how good looking it is. It's also got gull wing doors. I'll open it up for you guys. I won't get inside the car though. As you can see, it does have gull wing doors, which is really, really cool. I'll also start it up for you just in case you're unfamiliar with how this thing sounds. So I only gave you a startup, but you know, it sounds pretty good even on the startup. So anyway, guys, I think that's pretty much it for the tour of this garage. Let me know what you think of my garage in the comments down below. I really like this garage. I don't come here nearly enough because I just have so many cars in Grand Theft Auto Online. Like, I'm not trying to collect my car collection in Grand Theft Auto to you guys or whatever, but I just don't get around to all my other garages that much. So maybe I need to start bringing some of these cars out to my garage that I do take cars out of all the time, which is the CEO office. So I'll have to look into that. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, or if you learned something, or if you got inspired to make a car, leave a like if you don't mind. Subscribe if you guys are new. Let me know which car of mine is your favorite in the comments down below as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.